welcome to YouTube Live from my very messy office. I'm Dr. Malcolm. I'm a professor at UNF. So we did have a few technical difficulties today. Turns out that YouTube Live did not work well from the Mac Safari. Today is an exciting / interesting day in the US, I guess. More and more things are getting canceled. So UNF will be going to digital coursework. So I will be digitally streaming from here, which is my office, or from my home office, for both my Gen Chem 1 course and my Biochem 1 class. So it looks like things are going to get a little different. I am attempting to see if there are ways today, for better or for worse, to see if we can, can't do that. It doesn't look like there's a way to screencast, but it does look like I can communicate with you guys in this way. And so I could answer questions. If you write right over here, hopefully on your side, you also see a text box. So you could write something like, I have a question, what number is that? Question mark. So then you could see the chat pop up over here. And so hopefully from there, it will be pretty simple. I will be also live streaming my Biochem 2 lecture course. And so hopefully that will work out well at the same time. So other exciting news. One, I need to clean my office. There's like paper everywhere and I tried really hard to move stuff, but you can still see it because that's how life goes. Realistically, it's a little backlit, but today that's acceptable. So the other thing I was thinking we could talk about was we'd spend a little bit of time thinking about what is social distancing. So it is the catchword for the majority of the COVID-19 outbreak. So when we talk about social distancing, one of the things that I think is really important is that we think about who we are trying to protect. And so one of our goals is to protect people who are immunocompromised, people who are elderly and maybe not as healthy as we are. Social distancing isn't always about yourself. So it feels a little weird to kind of think about that the main point of this is for other people, but it really is. So hopefully that will give you a little bit of perspective. So how have I been enacting social distancing? One, I'm in my office by myself, which is usually true because that's kind of how an office works. So there's that. Part two is I've been making a concerted effort, if I have to leave my house, which I try not to leave only during times where things are perhaps less, I don't want to say less busy, but less congested. So when I went to the grocery store this weekend, I tried to go in the morning. On Saturday, it was still busy, but I tried not to talk to people if I didn't have to. And I tried to make sure that the general rule of thumb right now is 6 feet away. So, which feels really far to speak to someone with whom you are connected. But the point is that right now we know that the virus can be transmitted through what I would consider droplets. Basically, if they could sneeze on you and you could feel the sneeze, you are too close. Same with coughing. So you really just want it to be somewhat simple. And so I've tried that. I've been trying to continue my fitness. We all know that I love to run. So I've been running out in my neighborhood and trying not to run into anyone. Okay, I try not to run into people every day. That's not new. But I definitely don't talk to people. And when I see them, I'm still trying to be friendly, giving waves and saying howdy, but just keeping moving on. So there's that. Those two things are some suggestions. I've been trying to get out and walk the dog more often. So Lily, as we know, is probably the happiest about extra walks. Let's see. What else have I been doing? I'm trying not to just watch hours and hours and hours of Netflix, mostly because that's really only fun for 3 days. After that, I need something else. So I've read some books. I'm working on trying to set up some Zoom Hangouts with some friends, or Google Hangouts would work, which I think might still be a thing. Or you can Skype with your friends to hang out together. So when we're socially distant, like not being in the same place, one of the things I know that myself and many of my friends like to do is watch TV together. And so one way to do that apart is to also get together and then set up to basically just start the movie at the same time. So on Saturday night, a friend of mine and I wanted to watch a movie together, but social distancing. So we just texted back and forth, picked a movie, and then counted down 3, 2, 1, start. And we started the movie at the same or roughly the same time. And then you can basically text about what's happening in the movie at the same time. So that will give you some options on how to feel more connected when you're not together. The other things is most of us have cell phones that have the ability to make video calls. And so you can always do that as well. Let's see, what other ways have I been working on my social distancing? Trying to communicate less with people in person. And y'all, I gotta be honest, this weekend, it was super hard because it's the weekend. I worked hard all last week. It was busy. It was crazy. I gave exams. So all I usually want to do the next weekend is sleep. But because it was recommended that we not go out, all I wanted to do was to go out. All I wanted to do was to like party and like go somewhere where the people were. Can we just all admit that in reality, that is the hardest part of life? When you can't, as soon as someone says you can't do it, it's like, I call it the red button. So in a movie there, I was like, don't push the button. And people are like, you mean this button? So I think it's an interesting like phenomenon that as soon as someone says you can't do this, particularly if it's something that you wouldn't have done normally, if you go to the doctor and they say no swimming, or if you get a tattoo and they tell you not to go swimming, if you told me like I couldn't go swimming in January, I wouldn't really want to go swimming. Before you said I can't go swimming, then after that, the only thing I want to do is go swimming. So I think when we think about social distancing, the hard part is that it feels like someone's taken our control. But I think in the grand scheme of things, that is it's acceptable. And so hopefully with time in a few weeks, we will all go back to what I'm trying to remind myself of, new normal, because likely it will never be the same that it was. Things will always be different. We'll always be a little bit more cautious. Hopefully the hand washing thing will stay with us because I feel like that's good for us long term, right? Hand washing, while annoying, not the worst. So let's see. I'm trying to think of other things I could talk about. Hold on. I have a text. Not a text I care about. Trying to make sure that if someone was watching this, because I asked a few people to do that. If there are questions or comments, they can go in the box. Let's see. I think I said I would do this till 2:20. Let's see. What else do I have to tell you guys? If you're one of my students, I've been grading exams. There are so many exams to grade, but I'm making progress. You should expect those to come out here pretty soon. Hopefully your Canvas announcements will be informative and tell you lots of information and give you somewhat of a perspective about how that will work. If you are watching this and you are one of my students, when you make a comment in the comment box over here, and I hope that that's pointing to the right side. I'm not really sure. I'll watch this video later and then I'll know more. If you could write your name in there, if your username isn't yourself, that way I can respond to you by person to person, as opposed to just like the person who asked this question does not feel like we're very connected. I will have access to my emails at all points during this and try to be as responsive as possible. My Zoom office hours will be at the normal times, at least that's the today plan, but kind of feels like every time we turn around, there's a new plan. And so it's hard to know what is the new regular plan or the new old plan or the new different plan. So that's always kind of exciting. There's something else I was going to tell you guys. To be honest, I don't have a lot else. I was very nervous about this today. So I think we're going to stop this a little bit early with 10 minutes of live stream so that I can go verify that things work and make sure that these will be permanently stored on my YouTube channel And this will be available to students in the future. So if you have need of me, feel free to send me an email. Don't practice good social distancing and good hand washing, and I will see you here tomorrow.